Along those lines, what do you think has been the biggest advancement during your career? And then what do you think you're most excited for moving forward in the next generation?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest advancement in my career is really perforator-based flaps. I mean, because I grew up where it was all like a big old rectus muscle. But, so and I mean, I will never forget, harvesting an ALT and just going, "There is no way. I refuse to believe that this entire piece of skin is going to live on
Oh,
that."
it's so cool.
I know, and to this day, I'm always like, "Do you guys understand how amazing this is?" Like,
Yeah.
so it was so much fun to be kind of a junior academic surgeon around those times when it was, really uniting the world of micro. Is all these, it was like Chang'an and Korea and Japan and just learning these techniques and then trying to do these on, our population being so different. But I believe that the future of lower extremities should be that.
Welcome to the Deep End. Today, we're joined by Dr. Karen Evans, professor of plastic surgery at MedStar, Georgetown University Hospital, and a leading expert in lower extremity reconstruction and microsurgery. Dr. Evans trained at Georgetown before joining the faculty, where she now directs complex reconstruction while mentoring the next generation of surgeons. Her work has earned national and international recognition for advancing outcomes in reconstructive plastic surgery. In this episode, we'll talk about her career journey, her philosophy towards limb salvage, balancing leadership and family, and the advice she gives to young surgeons carving their own path. Let's dive in.
I wanted to welcome Dr. Karen Evans to this podcast. We're super excited for it. We have had a number of people ask us to get her on, so it makes it even more impactful. And as one of the co-creators with Hank, we're so excited about this because we get to hear people's stories that you don't get to listen to at conferences and hear from everyone around the country. And most importantly is while Dr. Evans is on this podcast, she is not producing research, which is great for all of us because we are slowing down her research output. Every conference I go to, there's about 15 Georgetown lower
Oh my
extremity podium presentations. There needs to be a separate section just for you guys.
I think yeah, the free flap group is the most studied population in all of plastic surgery in terms of every little thing that you could possibly imagine to study in that group.
But they're all wonderful papers. They're all fantastic papers. I don't know how you guys do it, but from a competitor standpoint, we're slowing down your output purposefully.
Well, yeah, we really do try to win over Penn, That's a thing. It's a Georgetown Penn thing. Steve
That's
Kovac
funny.
and Scott Levin, you really can't compete with that group. So,
Yeah.
but they are unbelievable colleagues and friends, and they have been so instrumental in orthoplastic, getting the message out. And I was sort of a resident when the orthoplastic term came about, and I remember seeing Dr. Levin at ASRM in 2000, and I'm going to really date myself here, but 2009 or some, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And I just sat there in awe. And he became one of these great, mentors from afar. And all of us need those in academics, as you know, because when you go up for, different levels of rank and you need people that don't really know you, but know of you in the academic community to write letters and such. And
Yeah.
he's just the best. And of course, Steve is a great friend. So we love Penn, but we do try to beat.
Hey, healthy competition.
Well, you said such a great example, I think, for so many people about how it is to be. Everyone that I've talked to who's crossed paths with you just says how enjoyable it is to work with you from a trainee standpoint and every other standpoint, and then, but also how to be so productive academically, which we'll end up talking about at some point. One of the things that always interests Hank and I, and particularly me, is those stories that sometimes you don't share, like your upbringing and what kind of guided you towards plastic surgery. So, what do you think first? Even before that, what do you think first sparked your interest in medicine? Were you one of those kids that you at the age of 6 you always knew you wanted to be a surgeon?
No. So I grew up in basically Columbia, Missouri, Midwest, right literally in the middle of the United States. I remember interviewing for residencies and people saying, "Now wait, you're from Montana? Wait, where are you from?" I mean, it is a state. It is in the middle. Justin Sachs also loves Missouri, but
He
grew up
loves every place.
he loves every place. He does. But Justin and I just say thank you so much for being in Missouri. Grew up in Columbia, Missouri, and, it was just a wonderful Midwest upbringing. Both parents, academic scientists, but never really pushed us in any really way I did dissect a fetal pig in 8th or ninth grade and thought it was just so amazing. I think that was something that was oddly, I remember thinking, I'm kind of weird. Like, why do I like, no one else seems to love this as much as I do. Like, why am I going after that? But
I wish we had a picture of that. Is there a picture anywhere of that?
yeah, the fetal pig. And then went to Madison, Wisconsin for undergrad, which was great, phenomenal, fun, massive.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
Yes. And I remember going from Columbia, Missouri, walking into Bio 101, and it was like an auditorium, and I opened the door. I was like, where's the professor? Way down. So I had to slowly learn, you better get down to the first level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the huge classes, huge, but I took some bio class. I didn't know, but I ended up really going there for English, actually. So I went there as an English major. Lori Moore, who's a Nobel laureate poet, had a very big kind of English department with creative writing emphasis, it's called, which you can get your own kind of degree in a creative writing, quote, emphasis. The first 2 years of undergrad were really English, T.S. Eliot, William Carlos Williams, modernist poetry. And I was in seminars all day and writing all night with these people, a group of people. And at the end, it was the end of second year of college, and kind of ready to move on because I kind of finished a lot of the prereqs and everything. I had a meeting with the third level TA or someone that I remember. It definitely was not Lori Moore, but it was 4 people below her who was like, okay, so, how are you doing? How do you like this? And I was like, oh yeah, no. And she goes, wait, so you're not going to do this for a living, right? And I'll never forget that meeting because I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not that, okay, gotcha. Okay,
Oh
so
my
anyway.
Wow.
So that was one of those moments where I was like, I'll never forget hearing that, oh, I'm not going to do this for a living, right? So probably good advice. Apparently, these old stories, I'll have to find them somewhere. They were written, years ago. They're not that good. So luckily, I was still taking some, pre-med classes and ended up deciding that, medical school was the way to go. But there was a lot that kind of aligned those two experiences with different, English is, I don't know. What was your major? Say it. I'm dying to know.
I had to think back for a second. Biology, like the standard pre-med person.
Standard.
Yeah, I was biology and chemistry minor. Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys take any English
No,
classes?
I was gravitated away. It was
Okay,
not my thing.
We had requirements. I took English.
We had requirements. We had to
yeah.
take them. But
You had requirements. Okay. So you're like my husband. My husband was Georgia Tech engineer, science. So he always thinks it's so weird, so amazing to hear my daughters having English papers, and we're all just so excited to read, But, English it's really kind of looking at human behavior, really. It's understanding human interaction, human behavior, celebrating life in different ways, and the dark parts and the wonderful parts. And so, it's I highly recommend it actually as a major.
Yeah. My
it's too late.
Funny. So my older brother, as we were talking about before we started recording, this was his path, and it still is. So he was always editor of the newspaper in high school. In college, he studied film and writing, and he actually wrote a movie at University of Miami that got shot in Greece. And he did stand-up comedy, and we always used to talk back and forth that it actually there's a lot of similar with science and writing and stuff, because it's a lot of analyzing the human condition. And some of the most brilliant people are stand-up comedians, because they can really analyze people and dissect what makes people tick and stuff. So I always found that super interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And it's all about motives. How does your background drive you in some way to act this way, whether it be good, bad, indifferent, dark. So anyway, I think it really didn't take, any psychiatry or so. I don't know if that's kind of what they, psychiatry and sociology, and it was all kind of based on, the written word. And so it's still kind of a hobby, and I love, I love kind of poetry and stuff like that. And highly recommend it, because if you have children, Hank, I know, say 4 amazing girls, 4 How is
Hank
that
might have.
possible?
He has
Say, I
enough.
just
He has
well,
enough for both
he
of us.
I would like to meet the wife.
Oh, you will. She's an angel.
She's an
But
angel.
I'm so glad you didn't do English because now ChatGPT is taking that away. So
I know. That's true. That's true. It is. But anyway, so highly recommend it as a major for you or your wife. The reason why is because as your kids go through middle school and high school, all these papers, they reread all the things that you studied, which is so much fun. Faulkner and, T.S.
that's
Eliot,
true.
Shakespeare.
You know what's so funny is like if you ask me what I learned at any point, I don't think I can remember anything. Like,
That's not true.
well,
I know.
for the most part.
Yeah, all
No.
that stuff. No, I agree.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And it's really cool, I have to say, and you'll see
It seems
this.
like you're so passionate about it still.
Well, you'll see in like 10 years. Well, let's see. Your oldest is how old now?
7.
7. So, oh yeah. So you'll see it like in like, even like 5 to 6 years from now, you'll be sitting down and doing like looking, maybe you'll like look at the bio homework and you're like, oh my God, that's a disulfide bond. That's
My
so
gosh.
cool. And they're like looking at you like, you're like, no, you don't understand. Like that's, this is,
They're like, Mom, are you okay?
yeah, they're like, well, "Are you okay, Mom?" Like, "Shut up." But it's so interesting to go back and kind of look at some of that, the old school, like middle school bio.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because we forgot it all, and then we relearned it so many times, and now we see it in a different way.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm done having kids. I just turned 29. Hank just turned 30. So I'm
Yeah.
done.
Wait,
Yeah.
Hank, do you have kids? I know
No.
Sade has.
Not
Okay.
yet. Yeah,
Not
not yet.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, not yet. But so from interviewing all of our guests, we hear a lot about their backgrounds, and we hear, a lot of artists or like creative writing. Do you think that's what kind of now that you decided a medical path, do you think that led you towards plastic surgery, or what kind of decided that path for you?
Well, so I went to medical school back in Missouri, and my family was there, which was great. It was so much fun to be with family. And in Missouri, the vascular department is pretty well known and still very, very well known. Don Silver was the chairman, and he had discovered HIT syndrome and written a lot of articles on. And at the time, it was like very, very cool. Like there was a thing called vascular medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, it actually exists about like rheology. I don't know if you've heard of that, like
Yeah.
study of flow and blood flow and like red blood cells and platelets and anyway, there was a lot of basic science mixed in with vascular, and I just like I just fell in love with the vascular patients. It was kind of the first patient was like, I don't know, 60-year-old vasculopath that had a fem pop followed by a fem distal followed by a fem followed by an ax fem and then a jump graft from the ax to the and I remember this woman. I'll never forget talking to her as a medical student, just like listening to her life, and she every day of her incredibly strong, so grateful to Dr. Silver, the chairman, for all these grafts and keeping her going. And we had to go in and do a thrombectomy. I'll never forget that case because I think that was one of the ones that really was formative to me, that I really loved and found these patients so interesting, that they're so strong. And then of course,
Yeah.
like it's like the weird medical student that their favorite rotation is the VA. Because I would like walk in and be like, how are you guys still alive? Like you're it's like the quote, you're smoking out of your trach. But you're
Yeah.
loving life, and you're being grateful for every day. So I don't know, I just gravitated to the quote vascular path in this way. And I love vascular surgery, and I just thought it was in the day of open aortic cases. Everything was open. So it was like, every OR was vascular. It was just open bypass, open aorta, now it's all endo. So I think that was, why I went into surgery, was really for vascular. And I ended up at Georgetown, and Neville kind of took me under his wing under vascular. And then it was like second year of residency or third year, I was hardcore gen surge. Like I didn't have an apartment for 9 months. I
Wow.
lived in my car because I was like, what is the point? I literally never go home because this is before all the work hour. So, yeah, you could ask my husband one day about like meeting me and being like, I don't think she's okay. Because, like, she's in her car. Anyways, I did. So, and I realized second year, oh my gosh, this is all endo. And I was not even allowed to,
Yeah.
I couldn't play with video games growing up. Like my family was pretty, against all that stuff. So
That's how I was. Yeah.
yeah, I was horrible at endo, like laparoscopic. I was just like, I can't see, I can't feel it. I just can't do it. So it was dark. And then, it coincided with me rotating on the quote limb service, as Hank knows, because he
Yeah.
visited, Georgetown. And it was, one of these fateful nights as a second year resident. My chief at the time, I think, was Samir Mardini, who's now at, Mayo. And then Mike Howard, who's now at Northwestern, was like the 5. And I was like this little first year, second year. And it was like, 9 p.m. at night, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like rounding, and like, they're like, hey, we need you to go down to the OR. Like, there's a case, you just got to cover it, man. Like, go in there. And I'm like, what? Okay, so I remember going
You're
down.
like, first off, I'm not a man.
Yeah, first of all, in the day that we were all men, okay, but and so I go down there, and they're like, I was like, what is this case? They're like, okay, it's called a debridement. Like anything that's black, just cut it off. I was like, okay, so black, cut it off, fine. So you're saying that like if the toes are black, you cut it off? Yes. Anything black, just cut it off and everything will be fine. You can't mess this up. You'll be fine. There's not even blood flow in the extremity, so it's not going to bleed. So I go in there, and I was by myself, Karen Kim at the time, and I'm debriding this foot. And I was like, wow, I was thinking this was, and I hear this door bust open. And as Hank knows, Chris Attinger, who is, still our, the grandfather / father
Legend.
of our entire, was like, what the fudge? Who are you? And I was like, oh, hi, my name's Karen Kim. Like, this is amazing. He's like, and he stood there for a second. He goes, wow, do you like this? And I go, yeah, man, I love this. This is so much fun. This is amazing. So he, that was the fateful day, because then, I remember walking out, and Samir Mardini's like, what happened in there? Dr. Chris Attinger's like said, you're so amazing. I'm like, I just debrided a foot.
That's amazing.
Anyway, it was one of those days, and literally what he did. Okay, I was third year resident, and I was rotating on transplant, general surgery, and I kept in contact. I was doing research because I love the vascular stuff. And he went to Scott Spear, who was the chairman, and God rest his soul. I mean, amazing chairman, and was just so instrumental in how I think. He went to Scott Spear and said, look, we're going to get this girl, and she's in gen surge now, but we're just going to take her in plastics. And that's what they did. I got a phone call.
Incredible.
They didn't even talk to you about it.
You're a resident. They're like, Chris Adams like, I got you a spot. And I'm like, you got me a spot in what? He's like, you're moving to plastics. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. And so then I had to go in to my own institution and say, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I just moved to...
Which is not easy, especially in surgery.
And let's just say they were not happy, at which time they said, that's great. You know what you can do for the next 9 months? Transplant every other night, which means you will just live in the hospital, which actually turned out to be good because I work with transplant now all the time.
Just step up from your car. The hospital's a little bigger than the car.
That was the Honda Civic. Yes.
Yeah. So question. So when you went down for that debridement, obviously we know he's a legend, but did you know how much of a legend he was at that moment?
I mean, everyone kind of knew the reputation of him. I remember that someone along the line, I don't know if people still do this now actually, but someone along the line had written up this whole packet that you transfer of information for each resident for rotation.
Yeah.
Do they do that? A lot of it is like stuff that you definitely don't want necessarily be written. A lot of it is not, there's some also like some subjective suggestions in there too. Like this person can be moody or that. I don't know. We had
there's stuff like that still.
Yeah, there's stuff like that still. Like, make sure you make sure Dr. Evans had her coffee. I don't know. There's like stuff in there. But I remember that packet, and it was all like everyone was, this is the best rotation you will ever have. Like, there's no one better to be with. So I kind of knew based on
that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's funny. Any faculty member like loves some resident who can do like a fantastic debridement, especially. If it's the foot, because some people just don't like feet or toes. Like, I love them. Like, I loved one of the people that I loved vascular too. I thought I wanted to do vascular, but as a resident, if you can do that, I mean, it's like I can envision him walking into the room and getting so excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was just like loving life in there. I don't know, but yeah, it definitely was a moment that shaped my career forever, and I'm forever indebted to him and Dr. Spear and Georgetown for allowing me to do that because it was it was instrumental and it was great, and I think in the end, I remember switching and going, oh my God, this is perfect. It's all vascular because of my
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it worked out really well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
and I was just gonna say, and I think it's also really special because obviously we can feel your energy and passion for it through this podcast. But since I rotated there and saw you now running that and going back to where it all started for you, it's like full circle for you, and then you're able to kind of pass it down to the next generation. And I think it makes Georgetown is obviously really lucky to have you, but all the residents and people you work with are too, because they get to feel this passion every day from you, and hopefully you instill into the next group.
Well, thank you, Hank. I mean, I think it's the
Yeah,
one thing, I mean, you were there briefly. The one thing that's nice is our team is really fun. I mean, we are dealing with, a lot of difficult situations and conversations and individualized, care that can be very hard. And you have to really think so clearly about each patient and what their needs are. But in the end, we all come together and every day at some point we're like belly laughing about, and again about each other really, because we make fun of each other a lot. But I think and our entire team, it's like I mean, it's a very, I would say, mission driven group. It's not really a
Mhm.
job. It's like a calling it's like an all in, like you're all in. And that
Yeah.
really comes from obviously Chris, Attinger, because he embodies that. And, you know, rounding at 9 p.m. and every single night, every single day, and every patient has a cell phone. And, he's just one of these people that, if you're around that, it just makes you better. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's the way we all are having, being around him is we try to emulate that as best
yeah,
we
and it
can. We can never be as good as him, but
but it's also like a formidable rotation. I remember, and it's kind of like time to step up. And I think if I remember correctly, is it a third year resident that chiefs that service?
yeah.
So I think it's also good for that. It's they get to step up on a really busy, service, and it's kind of like you said, you have to be all in, and it's very serious. You guys have a good time, but it's like working hard, and you accomplish so much in a day.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it is so, I mean, we played around with different levels, but the third year as a chief quote of a service with a lot of support,
Yeah.
with us rounding and with NPs and PAs and entire, I don't know how many nurses that work in our clinic and MAs, and we're up to like 15 to 20 ancillary people. I mean, it's
Wow.
very supportive, but they are able to run the show. And I think it is really instrumental in their growth. And what's cool is that every doctor is different, right? I mean, like, like some people are detail oriented. Some people are, like more, they have a lot of outside interests.
Mhm.
People are like research, everyone's
Yeah.
different. I think what's cool is, and I tell them this, like as a third year, we're not going to say you did a good job or not. I mean, everyone's going to do a good job. Like you made it this far, you're a great person. Like you're not going to, but this is a time for you to figure out what makes me tick. Like, what do I like? Do I like
Mhm.
to go see all these patients on the floors, or do I like
Yeah.
to spend all my time in the OR? Or what kind of doctor am I? What do I like? Do I like these sick people, or is this like too much for me?
Yeah.
So, I think that's really good as a third year because they really do kind of find themselves. It's really cool for us to see them too. We're like, that's surprising. I would never have thought X person is like that. But you see them and it's really cool. I think third year is a great year to kind of push that. I don't know if Penn has any like rotations like that for third or fourth year where you're kind of a chief kind of.
Yeah, at
Definitely.
some of our other hospitals and stuff, and it's great. They push you. Even this year, as a second year, we chief the breast surgery service when we're on one of our general surgery rotations, which is like a good opportunity for us to lead a rounding and updating the attendings and stuff like that. It's great. makes you kind
Yeah,
of
the
step
other
up
thing
a
I was
little
gonna
bit.
say is like going into lower extremity reconstruction, I know how it is here. It's you kind of always have to be available, you know, and it's funny because like an elective week of mine can turn like complete chaos if there's something that's unplanned. And so, but you went into it and it made the transition to lower extremity reconstruction on the plastic surgery side, if you're in love with vascular surgery, makes total sense. But what do you think kind of geared yourself up for this sort of potential lifestyle? Like what would you kind of pass along to somebody else who's interested in lower extremity? Because you also are a mom, you have two kids, but you seem to have a lot of fun. I follow you closely on social media. It seems like you have a lot of
We
fun.
do
So how
have
do you
fun.
do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I haven't found it to be, I mean, my friends, to be honest with you, my friends in private practice, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is
don't
tough.
think, yeah, I mean, you're running a business. Your entire image is based on, the outcome of people. I mean, it's cosmetic private practice is very, very tough. I think, I have found like my career to really align well with my life. I mean, I think one thing is, everything is different. As you know, you're in the stage of all these little babies. I mean, it's like it's incredibly I mean, it's so exhausting. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't imagine 4, and Hank will see one day, but,
Yes.
I came out of training and I knew that, like, I wanted to do academics. I knew I wanted to do research, a lot of
Why
research.
did you want it? Why did you want to do those things, you think?
I mean, I think it's just, it was just in my DNA. After, by the time I was 10 or 11, I would walk home from middle school to the university, where both my parents worked, in a basic science lab. And I would walk through the hospital, at different hours. And I was like, wow, this is just my ecosystem. Like,
Mhm.
it's either medicine or, yeah, I think I can't imagine anything else. It never even occurred to me, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
anything else. It would always be in academics. I think it's just the team, it's being around people. I'm a people person. I like talking to people. I like mentoring and I mean, being around young people. I mean, I'm old now, so I can say this, but being around like young
You are
medical,
not old.
well, like clinic, clinic after I am old, by the way, but after so many years of doing clinic,
I'm gonna pull up your headshot on Google and I can prove
okay,
you're not old.
well, that's the resident clinic. The resident clinic has done amazing, job. So, shout out to the residents at Georgetown for
That's
yeah, at least we're not, yeah. But anyway, so, being around medical students in clinic, let's say, because they come to my clinic and it really brings so much energy and so much excitement, and they look up stuff and I have them look up and I learn so much having that interaction, like, go look up neurosarcoidosis. Like, I don't remember
you're just
anything.
making stuff up.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, no, it's like whatever's in my clinic that
Yeah.
day, like
No,
every
yeah.
single patient, you're like, wait, what? You had what happen? And all the different cancer drugs that are coming out and I mean, so it keeps you very excited and they're excited. And I think, yeah, I just think it's definitely probably, it's just somehow in my DNA. I knew I was going to stay, but I ended up at the VA, which was a perfect place to have
Mhm.
2 kids. I mean, I remember getting home, like, at 3:30 or 4 and be like, "I'm so sorry it's so late," like, "Oh my god,"
Wow.
because the VA is the perfect job. I mean, it was perfect. I was able to write, publish. We started
That's awesome.
microsurgery there. I traveled to Chiang multiple times. Perforator flaps were coming about, and it was, like, the perfect way to have, like, 2 young kids, still be in academics. We had all the residents came and rotated, and, I was part of but it was, yeah, it was perfect. And then, every stage of the family life, you can kinda switch what you're doing, and, it all works in the end if you just kind of, like, analyze where you are at those certain times and make sure, it works. And we've had, like, unbelievable, obviously, help. And when I opened the door and met my first live-in nanny, I swear it was like Jesus reincarnate. This woman is like a saint. She is a saint. Ching, she's out there. She's back in the Philippines now. But, like, these are just like they're amazing caregiving, just great people that have been part of our family that have helped me and the kids. Especially my husband, who is like the most generous and supportive and like calm, just has been the most important part of our entire family is our relationship and being supportive, for each other. And I think for me, it really worked to have, another doctor slash surgeon as a spouse, because it would be hard, I think, maybe. I don't know if this is controversial, but like, if you don't really understand like what it's like, and maybe
Oh,
it's
it's
hard,
super important.
it might be harder for a woman, like, like, hey, I couldn't answer the phone. Like, I don't know, but
Yeah. So they
I,
understand what you're going through and what you've been through and everything. So it's easier
yeah,
to
yeah.
relate
Like
with.
a bad
Yeah.
day is a bad day. It's not like like a bad day in the OR is a really bad day. A
Yeah.
good day in the OR is a really good day. But I think, yeah, it has worked really well from my life to have a supportive, husband like Steve who understands what I do. We try not to talk. We don't really talk that much about work at home.
Hmm.
First of all, like we're kind of working in the same healthcare system, so I really don't wanna talk about work. First, and he knows not to tell me anything because I have a huge mouth. Like, I will tell everyone, so whatever he tells me, I'm like, "Molly, go listen in on dad's call. What are they talking about?" Like, my daughter, I'm like, "Wait, what's
Yeah.
happening?"
Well,
So he
definitely
knows.
talk about this podcast. We don't care about how much you talk about that.
Yeah, I'm like, "Wait, what's happening in MedStar?" But yeah, people always ask me, "Wait, did you hear this?" I'm like, "Guys, I hear nothing." Like Steve he knows me, and I'm not very good at like confidential, like, secrets that are about to happen in a month from now. Like I will tell everyone like, "Guys, we're getting a new building," So anyway, so
Where'd you guys meet?
we met running actually. Yeah, we met
T-
running. So that
I
was
think I
another
remember 3 years ago during my sub-I, my AI, you were getting ready to run a marathon or training for a marathon. Is that
Yeah,
true?
we're kind of the crazy runners that you look at when you drive by and you just go, I don't know if they should be running anymore. Like they don't, we've got like the compression socks, the Hokas, yeah, so we're
the
still
flashing
going,
lights.
but yeah.
Hank's going to start running a lot more now that he knows that you met your husband.
Yeah, I know. I need to keep doing that. Except I
Yes.
don't need
It
to
is
meet anybody. I've already met somebody. So
wow.
yeah.
Hank.
Um,
Yeah, no, running, we met running. Yeah, it was a funny day that there was a group of us that ran after work from Georgetown into the monuments and stuff. And he had just come back to Georgetown. I had been in plastics. He somehow got into this group and was like, "Oh, we're gonna go running group, whatever." And so we met outside the building and the university building, and it was just the two of us, and no one else came. Yeah, let's just say it was, a long time ago. I'm not sure if these things happen anytime soon, but
Mhm.
we didn't really date per se. We had to like decide immediately, like, this is either very serious or not. It happened to coincide with like this crazy situation that happened to me as a resident because I ended up having a left hepatic lobectomy as a third year. Yes, yes.
gosh.
So yeah, so
Wow.
that also was just the craziest year of my
Oh my
life.
goodness.
Anyways, yeah, I ended up having this congenital bile salt abnormality that the bile tends to form these stones. My entire left lobe was like had stones in it. They had to
Wow.
take it out. I was
Wow.
septic and jaundice and still working. Anyway, so he was like, I don't know what he
Thank
was
God
thinking.
you got okay. Or you're
I
Yeah.
don't know what
okay.
he was thinking. I was, septic, jaundice, living out of my car, running.
I was gonna
But
say he really loved you. That's awesome.
we still run all the time. We work out. Our entire life kind of centers around like a lot of exercise, I would say, a lot of sports and exercise. So it's
Yeah.
good. Do you run? Say, what do you
But
do?
yeah, I love it. I love running. But it's like funny because I don't know, I'm not one of those people that can run every single day because I have to like recover from any run. So it's like every other day running, every other day biking.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I like just being outside and stuff. But it's funny when I think about you both as this power dynamic duo. He's the executive vice president, CMO of MedStar. You're a professor, publishing a lot, clinically very busy. How did you guys survive a household with two kids and work and everything?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I do think my mom is like this force to be reckoned with, and it must be a genetic thing regarding just overall strength. And she has this unbelievable gift that she does not need to sleep. She literally, and even growing up, she just doesn't need to sleep, and she doesn't sleep, by the
How
way.
much sleep do you need?
Wow.
I don't, yeah, so I'm very lucky. Like, I don't, I'm fine if I don't sleep. It's so helpful.
Wow.
Really?
So my mom is like that. So maybe she'll hear this, but yeah, so she actually has a horrible sleep habits, and she's very healthy. So I don't know if that, is true, because all my friends that learn about the importance of sleep always send me these articles about the mitochondrial need to clean up the neurons, as you're sleeping, and like you don't understand the immune system. And but so I do think that there's a genetic group of us. Thank you, mom. That and her, that we just, yeah. I'm just very lucky. I'm very lucky. I mean, I can stay up till midnight, 1 a.m. I'm
What time
totally
do you
fine.
wake up?
I wake up at 5:30. I work out late at night. But I think of sleep in like blocks. I don't like the 80-hour work week. Like there might be like 2, 3. It's like over like a week.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
It works out. Like I'm
I'm the
not like,
same way. Like if you
yeah.
miss some sleep somewhere, you catch up somewhere else, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
you can catch up. And I think I'm just very lucky in that regard. Like between like 10 or 11 p.m. till like 1-ish is just the best, cuz we usually work out late in our house cuz the kids go to bed, or maybe they go to bed, but they are done talking to us. Let's just say.
Yeah.
And then we have a gym, and so my husband and I work out at pretty much every night, and we have a
That's
show.
awesome.
We have a show that we watch, which is
What
the
show?
fun. Oh, well, we go through all the shows, which is
What
so
show are
much
you
fun.
currently watching?
We did, okay, we're very late on all the shows too, but we did all of Peaky Blinders, which was,
I love that show. So good. One
have
of
you
my
seen
favorite
that
shows of all time. Saeed, you need to
favorite
watch
show?
this.
No.
Oh my
Incredible.
gosh. You cannot watch this at home with your young
Yeah.
kids.
Well, yeah. I tell them no TV during the week, so that takes away TV from me,
Yeah, so
unfortunately.
okay. Yeah, so so we did that. Let's see. Right now we're watching Black Rabbit, which
Oh, I
is
didn't
on
watch that, but I heard it's great. My parents just watched
That's
it.
so cool because it seems like you guys are so like in sync with your out of work lives, which is really, really awesome. And it's probably like a testament to how great you guys have both done for yourselves, which is really cool.
My older daughter is tennis player at Georgetown now, and getting through junior tennis is a full-time job, and a younger one is also busy tennis and all these things. Yeah, but we're lucky. What we've all found ourselves into in some way, shape, or form is the best job in the world, for sure. There's
Yeah.
nothing there. I think we are extremely lucky and grateful. I think it's um it's a unique perspective to have. It's actually so wonderful, and especially with kids, I have to say. We, having been given this gift every day of seeing people suffer, and then being able to come home and just share laughter and celebrate their just health.
Yeah, exactly.
And like as they say, you never sweat the little things. Like, you really don't. As
Yeah.
in our jobs.
Yeah, I mean, plastic surgery in general, but especially in lower extremity, the long recoveries, the emotional, patient journeys and stuff. I'm curious to you after a surgery or after working with patients for so long, how would you define success in a case in limb salvage? The functional recovery, the patient resilience, or is it something more, personal, as you were just alluding to?
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think defining success and defining failure is one of the biggest issues that we have. And I think part of it is related to just lack of data and understanding on big groups. So getting patient reported outcome measures is our next big thing at Georgetown. And working with, limb Q and wound Q, and trying to really understand the impacts that we're having is the key. Because what we think is successful might not be for that patient.
Yeah.
You're so right. Yeah.
And like the days of microsurgical success rate being the goal are
Yeah.
over. And that's
Agreed.
great, because we've come that far that everyone is at the 98, 99%. It's just, so the technical aspects of the surgery are not really the success. It is, choosing the right surgery at the right time for the right patient.
Mhm.
And so what we've decided, we've decided that failure is loss of limb within 6 months of a free flap is failure. So we're studying that population to try to understand what happened. If we chose a free flap for someone that lost their limb in 6 months, then that was wrong. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have had the flap. I mean, it was so understanding that population is very important. I think success is basically function based. So the PROM, LEFS scores are really what we decide is functional. And and I mean that's why this field is so fun and exciting because
Yeah.
you could just all day talk about this stuff, and there's so much
Yeah.
philosophy that goes
Hmm.
into lower extremity, and what my perspective is, your perspective, and objective measures versus subjective measures, and that's why I think
Totally.
the research side is so much fun because our research, group will come up with some of the data and then we interpret it. And then it goes into a very complex discussion of, well, how, like just because where did this person start is really
Hmm.
key. So, and where are they trying to get to? I mean, so if you're a community ambulator versus a household ambulator, versus an athlete, I mean, in general, the athlete, high functioning, quote, comorbid patient, not trauma, we might do BKs sooner,
Yeah.
the amputation, especially now with, Dr. Addy, Dr. Yoon's, techniques are function based. And they function really, really well. And we've studied their mortality. And so with TMR being,
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest advancement during your career? And then what do you think you're most excited for moving forward in the next generation?
yeah, the biggest advancement in my career is really perforator based flaps. I mean, because I grew up where it was all like a big old rectus muscle, so, like a big,
Stop talking like.
I mean, it was a long time ago, but, so, and I will never forget, harvesting an ALT and just going, there is no way. I refuse to believe that this entire piece of skin is going to live on
Oh,
that.
it's so cool.
I know. And to this day, I'm always like, do you guys understand how amazing this is? Like,
Yeah.
so it was so much fun to be kind of a junior academic surgeon around those times when it was, really uniting the world society of micro, is all these, it was like Chang'an and Korea and Japan, and just learning these techniques and then trying to do these on, our population being so different. But so yeah, I think that, and I think for the future, I would say I believe that the future of lower extremity should be that there's centers of excellence for everything lower extremity, and that amputations should be done by plastic surgeons, because all amputations, if you are able to have all the referrals for quote an amp to plastics, you'll be able to distill who gets a flap and who gets the amp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to have all those patients under your own, roof per se. I mean, I hate to say this for vascular and ortho that do these procedures. We are the most trained at understanding individualized care because we all grew up in plastics, which is all the first thing we learned, right? As an intern is, okay, when you present a case, the first thing you learn, what's the first thing is, what are your goals, right? So when you go to
Yeah.
every single plastic surgery clinic, it's like, what are your goals? See, we are the only specialty that does that. That like
Yeah.
literally sits
No, you're
down
right.
eye to eye, and just the first question, I'm not even going to ask you about what are your goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that is in our specialty to be understanding the patient, individualized patient care is in our specialty. And we focus on function. We focus
Hmm.
on how someone can use this breast reconstruction, how someone can use this nasal reconstruction, how someone can use this extremity. So this is the way we think, is function and individualized care. And so together, those two things, if you can get all the patients that are about to get a BK or maybe not, whatever, under plastics, it will revolutionize lower extremity.
Yeah.
And we probably, I think that the way that we treat soft tissue, the way that we think about healing, the way that we think about biomechanics, that the amputations might be done in a different way, the way that we think. And then we can add TMR, and then you can add innovation, because
Yeah.
all of are so innovative. So you add, osseointegrate, you go add OI, and you add robotics, and you add prosthetics, and then you have all that really, I hope, becomes the future, because we, like, plastic surgeons tend to gravitate towards this, like the engineering and the innovation and the individualized care. And so if we can build that up at each institution, that this is like the norm, like, you're looking at go to plastics, go to plastics, go to
Yeah.
plastics, instead of ending up in ortho. Or, this might be controversial, but we love our ortho colleagues and we love vascular more than anything.
Well,
I just,
especially you,
what do you mean? Yes.
because you're married to us.
I just think that, specifically for patients that are facing something so life altering as an amputation, if we could get that into our always
There's-
under plastics, I think it would revolutionize extremity.
Yeah.
Totally. Hank, I think you and I should write that up as an editorial later.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
claim and take credit.
Yeah. But
Do it. I don't need, anyone that wants to take this on, let's do it.
no, it's funny because that is true. I did full general surgery before I did plastic surgery, and the thought process is so different.
So
It's so different. And you're right. Like, we have come so far. And I tell my patients this, fortunately for us, thank God I don't have a flap like tomorrow, but fortunately for us, our flap success rate has been great. And so now we have to move on and think of the next thing, because we can't keep harping about flap success rate because it's already good with everybody around the country. But one of the things that I'm also kind of excited to hear from you, especially as, the final few questions of the interview is, you set such a great example. And this hits home so close to me for my future daughters, or my current daughters for the future. But you set such a great example for women pursuing, I'd say, medicine in general, and especially surgery. And for all 4 of my daughters who are going to go into medicine at one point, what advice do you have to give to those people who are also, like, obviously want to be moms one day and want to do academics and have a busy life? But I can't say this enough. You set such a great example for that.
thank you. I appreciate that. I think women are innately, like, it's a perfect thing. To be a doctor is like I think it probably aligns somewhere in our brain and estrogen receptors, and we're caring. Guys are caring too. We love you guys, but we are, we're intuitive. Women are very caring. So, just going into medicine, I think we tend to be, like, very thoughtful. I know guys are
Yeah.
too.
No, I
But-
hear
Yeah,
you.
no,
No, for
I
sure.
understand.
Women are, and like, I think we analyze, like, my husband always laughs, like, what are you guys still talking about up there? My 2 daughters, we're analyzing this and analyzing that and talking about it this way and talking about
I'm
that.
the same way with my wife. I'm like, what are you guys still talking about?
So there's something to be said, for that. Like, it is, I think, a great career for women, for sure, being in medicine. I think it's not hard. We don't have as many problems with empathy, with,
That's what I was going to say.
it's just an
yeah.
innate way, like, as a mother. I love
Yeah.
fathers, but as a mother, like, you are so, like, you
It's
feel
built
like
into your DNA.
it's built, and and as like, we handle stress pretty well.
Yeah. I'm
You
so
look
impressed
at
by it,
different-
honestly.
Oh my gosh. You look at women with, your wife, 4 kids. It is stressful. It is
She's an
so
angel.
stressful. Yes. And so we handle stress well. So I think it really is it's a no-brainer. All women be doctors. It's the best. In terms
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
surgery, I think surgery is, again, a perfect place because of the tactile sense, and, the attention to detail, technical skills. And I've never had really an issue, I would say, about that. I just never overthought it, maybe. I think that's also good. Like, don't overthink it. If you love it, do it. You're going to do great.
Yeah.
That's what I tell students, women, students that come to me and say, like, I'm really worried. Can I do this? I'm like, you know what? Get off TikTok, Instagram, Facebook groups, and Reddit.
Yeah.
Over analyzing, like, can I just do it? You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Women are so strong. And
Yeah.
and I think if you have the passion and you love it, you're going to work it out. It will work out. You'll find the job that fits your lifestyle. And then, second of all, I would say choose your partner in life really wisely. And then I think it all works out in the end. So I've
Yeah.
been very lucky to have, the support and things like that at home. But I think, we have, I think that
Why do you
we
say
have
that? Like, what do you think? What do you think your partner offers so special?
Adaptability and flexibility is very helpful.
Mhm.
Can he, although his job is obviously very, very demanding and very, very difficult sometimes to navigate schedules, if you schedule things far enough in advance, it works out. It really does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I tell him, like, next Friday at 1 o'clock, do you hear me? Next Friday at 1 o'clock, let's write it. We're going to send you an email. I need you to blah blah blah. And he loves it. And I think
Yeah.
dads of the girl dads are just the best. And Sade, you're going to be, you already are, a girl dad, and you can really shape, your girl's confidence and their outlook on life, and they can feel invincible because their dad believes in them, and that's how
Yeah.
my dad is. I mean, just my dad told us, I had two sisters, like, you guys can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Just don't let anyone ever tell you no. I think that, that coming from your father is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because we did a podcast with Julie Freshlage,
Oh, yeah.
who she was my chair at Hopkins when I was a med student applying, and she accepted me into the program. But she said the same thing. Her granddad used to look at her and say, Julie, you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want to do in life. And, I have three sisters. I grew up with three sisters, absolutely
Wow.
love
My
them.
gosh.
I know there's a lot of women around me, but I honestly love it because it gives me, whenever I'm like it just gives me so much perspective because I'm so excited for the future of my daughters and everything you just said. I think it's so true. I think the empathy part, finding the perfect partner, I think, thinking about everything we just talked about, if you could go back at any point, is there anything that you would have done differently?
I really don't have a lot of regrets. I think I might be kind of like you. I have no memory, so that also helps. But no, I mean, I think, I've just been very grateful for everything. Nothing that I've done sort of, I would say, oh man, I wish I hadn't. I mean, nothing really comes to mind with that question.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't really think of anything major. I think I've tried really hard every day to kind of balance these demands and just be like, okay, what is the most important thing today? Okay, I'm not gonna be able to go to that tennis match or that thing. However, tomorrow I definitely am. And so I'm gonna make everything happen today so I can make that thing, occur tomorrow. So, planning and trying to live your life in that kind of way that you got to give yourself some grace too. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you can only do so much, and trying to get again, I do it in chunks. So did I do everything in the last month? Okay, good. I'm signed off on medical records. So there's going to be, a lot of times where you might feel like you didn't do enough that day, but you'll catch up. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
And we make a joke like, oh, we don't remember anything, we don't have a good memory, but a lot of that comes back to sports. When you're not going to be perfect, so if things don't go according to plan, you almost need to have kind of a short memory, and coaches tell you to have a short memory to go to the next play because it's not going to do you any. Obviously, learn
Mhm.
from it, but it's not going to push you in the right direction by dwelling on things you would have done differently.
yeah, no, totally. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's good to analyze, decisions. I think that's very important in life, and being a parent is thinking about, like, okay, like, really trying to analyze how you made a decision of some type and think about all the factors, and then you can understand yourself and reflect on that.
Yeah.
And I think, we do that a lot, and just talk about how we ended up, where we ended up at certain times. And I think that does help shape you. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, wait, I have two last questions that we ask every single guest. And thank you again, Dr. Evans. This has been amazing. And we knew this was going to be a special episode, and it definitely was. And I think our guests are going to love it. But actually, before I ask those two questions, I have to ask you about living in your car. I can't go this whole episode without bringing that up. Can
Wait,
you
when did you live
just
in your car?
explain?
This is when I told you guys not to talk about anything when I was
Oh,
gone.
maybe.
Yeah. You
So,
guys
can
have
you
to
just.
understand that this is like it's a different era to have trained before iPhones. I mean, we
Yeah.
literally had a pager and had to go find a phone. Can you imagine that
Yeah.
scenario? I mean, so like, we had pagers, and, like, I mean, that was, so I would say that, like, when I realized towards the end of third year, you go, when I had to do the every other, and it kind of was every night, that there was no reason for me to pay rent and plus, so I ended up, I was just like, I have a call room and I have a car, and it worked out great. It was like
Yeah.
basically 9 months and everything was in there. And what else would I need? I mean,
What did your
I had,
family think, or what was your day like? I
no,
just,
oh,
it's so,
my family like does not, they're just like, Karen, oh my God. They don't even want to know at this point in my life.
yeah,
They try to stay way far away from these kind of
that's so
things.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I think, I actually loved being on call because I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I have a shower, I've got my little, it's like, it
Everything
was
you
a
needed.
different time, different era. Probably would never do that again.
So in the OR, what is your favorite music to listen to while you're operating?
Now, this is like, so I will say, and I believe that many people have said that I have the best music of all the ORs. So,
That's not what we heard.
and
Yeah.
I'm going to
I'm just
publicly,
kidding. I'm just-
I'm going to publicly say that. But actually, my phone has 25 gigabytes of music. So I don't,
Wow.
that's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot of, so it's all downloaded. And it is everything from Queen to Dire Straits to Fleetwood Mac to,
Wow.
I mean, rap to, so I love music and there's everything in there. So
That's
there's
great.
something for everyone. And people always say, oh my God, that's great. So I love my music and it's great. Steven Wilson Jr., if you ever heard of him. Have
Very
you heard of him?
eclectic taste.
Steven Wilson Jr. So at the end of this, go and watch. He did live. It's called Live at I believe it's called like the Print Room. It's a room. It's called Stand By Me. And you will be blown away at this guy who actually was a
Okay.
microbiologist and
Oh my
dropped his,
gosh.
yeah, Steven Wilson Jr. He's sort of an up and coming. Anyway, he's on there. Everything. We have
I'm gonna look
80s.
him
We have a
up.
lot of fun 80s dance music. So we
That's
So
we
that's
have
the best.
we have
That's
it all.
cool.
Yeah.
What do you
Okay.
have,
That's great.
Said? I want to know what you have, Said.
I usually go with the vibe of the people in the OR, but some changes from like sometimes EDM, sometimes yacht rock radio.
I love yacht rock.
You kind of switch it up depending on what's happening.
Yeah, I didn't see. I'm an Apple Music person, which is really weird because I don't have Spotify. When I run, I always listen to like random music, and when I'm running or working out, I'll just like save. Be like, oh, that's a good song.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I ended up with this playlist that is just massive. And then I have Shazam, which I love Shazam.
Love
my
Shazam.
kids are like, Mom, stop Shazamming. Because everywhere we are, I'm like, wait, I'm going to Shazam this because it's so fun. It ends up in
Yeah.
I know.
I love Shazam. I have Shazam on my when
It's
you
wild. I
scroll
love it
down on
too.
the top of your set icons, I have it right there.
The worst is like when a good song comes up, but it's about to end and you can't get Shazam open in time.
Yeah, or you're like in a restaurant and it's too loud. It's
Yeah,
the worst.
I know. You're like,
I'll be like driving, almost getting into a car accident, trying to get like Shazam on.
What's your favorite surgical instrument?
I think it is a fine Jacobson.
I think
That's
that's
the
the
first.
first.
What
I think
is
that's
the?
the
Is
first.
it?
I thought
Well,
you were
I
gonna
mean,
do
yeah.
like some side of like the Versajet or
Yeah.
Yeah,
some sort of debriding tool.
I like that.
I feel like I can do anything with a Jake. I mean, I think the parotid or the McCabe is like, a great instrument, but sometimes it's too soft. And the I love perforator dissectors. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
called, yeah, the little I love those. Those are so beautiful. But a fine Jake. Actually, the residents gave me a like a gold like as a joke, like as a plated things for it was like a Jake because I'm always like, where's the Jake? Give me
That's
the
cool.
Jake.
That's great. So that is your
It's-
favorite. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, what's yours, Sade? What's your favorite?
I like the McCabe. Just
Yeah.
That's what
straightforward
everybody
McCabe.
says.
But no, actually, take it back. Two things. I like the bipolar, like a very good bipolar. We use a disposable one, but I also like the ligature. So
Yeah.
especially
what
for
I
free
like,
flaps,
ligature.
love it.
I love the ligature. I do
Yeah.
love the ligature. Have you used the new micro gym automatic clip?
No, but that sounds amazing because I love automatic clips.
I know. Well, yeah, I was wondering because someone just said that they're available. So instead of the how you have to load the micro, there is a gym micro clip. I was wondering if yeah. So we're gonna try it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay, cool. And then our final question is, who's the next chair of Georgetown plastic surgery? It's okay. You can tell us.
I
We're
would
not gonna tell anyone.
love to know. I would love to know. Yeah. That would be great.
Come on. Us.
Yeah, call
I think
David
it should be.
Stop.
I think it
Call
should be
David Stop.
Hershey.
Yeah, it should be Hershey. It should be Hershey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's call David on the line. That'd be fun. David.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
I had a
again.
lot of fun. I knew that this was going to be fun. And we get to see you again in a week.
Thank you for listening to The DIEP End, a plastic surgery podcast. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please like, subscribe, and leave a rating on Apple Music or Spotify. Video from the podcast is available on Instagram and YouTube at The DIEP End Podcast. Join us again soon for more conversations with luminaries and experts in the world of surgery.